contest set forward for is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm Big Al. Conspicuous by his absence is the Professor, but I'm not here to badmouth him because he is under the weather. I wish you nothing but the best, brother. Maybe you'll comment in later. Maybe you're watching us live right now. Get well soon, Professor, and he will be back with me next week when our guest next week is Mr. Director. A first-timer here on Around the Turnbuckle, but these two gentlemen right here are not a first-timer on Around the Turnbuckle, and they are one of the premier tag teams here in Pennsylvania and soon to be a lot further reach than that, and that is the Brothers Gray. What's up, guys?
What's up? Oh, man, another beautiful day, brother. How you doing, Big Al?
Love it. Love it. I'm fresh off of calling the action in Quakertown. We were down... Professor and I were down in Quakertown for 3WA Live, and it was off the hook. It was a full house. There was over 200 strong there, easy. And, man, they were a hot crowd. They were crazy all night long. It was a good show. Great time.
Oh, man. It may just be us in the ring, but I'm telling you, man, something about Pennsylvania and our scene right now, it feels like we're in a boom, brother.
Yes.
Like, the crowds keep getting bigger. They keep getting louder. They keep chanting. We're getting streamers, air horns. Like, everything you see, like, you're going to get here in PA, man.
This state loves wrestling. It has a rich history of wrestling. I mean, dating back to a very long time, but I mean, more recently, for those who are my age or younger, I'm in my mid to late 40s. WWE would always travel around, when in the territory days when there were still territories, and WWE would come in to Allentown area all the time. They'd come to Hamburg all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So this area in general, up and down Route 81, up and down, route across Route 80, 380 too. They would travel all around this area all the time, taping old episodes of Superstars of Wrestling, old episodes of Wrestling Challenge, before there was Raw, before there was SmackDown. And so this place was already rich with wrestling. Then you had, it's just recently, and when I say recently, I say within the last 20 years, if I'm being honest, you've had this influx of independent scene pop up, these feds that popped up. And the reason why is because it's out there. It's out there to be had. There's so much wrestling in Pennsylvania. It's crazy because there's a need for it. Everybody loves it. Like, everybody loves it. This state loves wrestling. And it's been in their blood for years. Mm-hmm. So if they want to take a moment away from WWE and they want to, check out what they got locally, they absolutely should, because locally these guys and the Brothers Gray are part of that conversation. You put your asses on the line for our entertainment, and you're not making the kind of money that they are on TV, although someday you may be. Mm-hmm. But for now, you're putting your asses on the line for our entertainment, and it's such a great, great time. Everybody has a good time. Every show that I've ever been to locally, including ones that you guys have been a part of, has always been a good time. I look around, and everybody's having a good time. Everybody's having a great time. The kids come. They get loud. They get crazy. And you're more intimate than a WWE setting. Instead of being in an arena full of 15, 20,000 people, you're in an arena full of 300 or 400 or whatever, or less even. And then when you do that, you are able to interact with the wrestlers more. It's more intimate. During the intermissions, you get to go meet the wrestlers. You get to get your picture taken with them. It's more an intimate thing. You have it's not just you buying a ticket, sitting down, watching what they give you and leaving. You have so much more than that. So speaking of which, though, you guys recently were in my area. You guys were in Slatington for PPW. Talk about that trios tag team match that you guys had with your boy Mr. Adams.
Mr. Good luck. So I'll give you guys a whole rundown on this one because this is the perfect platform to give you guys what the syndicate is, man. This is something that was bred and happened through the local area between Slatington and Williamsport. And what happened is, Damian and I, we both come from different backgrounds. We don't come from, amateur wrestling. I played professional lacrosse in my early days, and then Damian was in the military. So we both fight different. We both come from different combat backgrounds, and it's something that we're coming together as a team in the ring on, is meshing our two styles. And when we realized it, if you look at our track record from the first year, man, it wasn't a lot of wins. Just that simple. And we got a chance to meet Sam Adams, man, and what a genuine human being, dude. And you talk about all these old-time greats of managers and like Paul Ellering picking up the Road Warriors in his van to drive them to the next show that he got them booked on because he saw their potential. That's Sam Adams, man. He looked at Damian and myself, and he was like, I see the world in you guys. He goes, you guys just need somebody to just lead you guys a little bit forward, and then let's run together. And, we met up with him, and that's what the syndicate is, man. We're a conglomerate of individuals where we accept contracts for hire. We wrestle, and we command our hits. And in order for us to have gotten to be good wrestlers and not just hitmen in the ring, we needed a true professional wrestler to follow in his footsteps, learn the way he learned, and experience being in the ropes the way that he sees the world. And having joined with him has changed our entire trajectory, outlook, inward, and just the everything in the appearance about the brothers Gray can all be attributed this year to having met, been, wrestled with, and partnered with Sam Adams. And he makes the third to our trios. He's our manager. He's our personal best friend. Like, he's everything you want in this industry and everything you hope to see when you're backstage. So we got a chance to join up with him. And then at that time, PPW was running a trios tournament. So we were like, man, look at it. I think we got a little gold here. You know what I'm saying? We may be able to run with this. We got all the strength. I more than enough distraction for everybody out there. And Sam's got the mind to get it done. So we were able to sit there. We worked, man. We worked. We trained. We put our hours in the gym together. We've traveled the road to do more and just continuously be inside of a ring of ropes and just keep working on what we were doing. And Sam, with his tutelage and with our hard work, dude, after the whole PPW Trios tournament, we are currently the PPW Trios Champions and the inaugural ones at that. Right. We will always be number one. We will always be the number one. So that's what we've been up to. And, last month, coming up on the next show here in about 2 more weeks, as a matter of fact. But last month, we had an all-time career moment happen for us. A big turn for the crowd, unexpected situations. You never know what's going to happen with the Brothers Gray and the Syndicate.
Absolutely.
But, we had Mr. Pretty himself, the Chinless, the #1 women's Royal Rumble Money in the Bank. My man's done it all. We got James Ellsworth to join the Syndicate. And, what a joy to have. We were talking about it before the show. Upstanding gentleman, amazing guy, out in and out of the ring. And one of those moments where you get chills being able to be where we're at in our career and be able to meet with him and hang out with him and talk and work together. And those are things you dream of. And being able to be in a position where we're at, where we get to engage with people like that and they get to reciprocate the feeling and emotion of being in the ring and all that joy and that craziness that we get to go through. And getting to do it with somebody like that who's equally as loving and receptive. It meant the world to us to be in a position like that, to share that with him and him share it with us too. So big things out in Slatington.
So did you defend the titles that night?
Yeah, we defended him against Nice and Smooth, tagged up with James Ellsworth. And then Ellsworth saw their side of things and came over to the Syndicate. So we got
Ellsworth turned on Nice and Smooth and joined the Syndicate. That's what you're telling me.
Yes, he did.
He made the correct decision.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
And some things happened that didn't necessarily go our way later in the show. And next month we have a Primal Fear and a Trios Championship match for the main event. And been doing a little bit of film on those three gentlemen, but we think we got to figure it out.
Being in the area, seeing ROH, seeing AEW,
yes,
we know Primal Fear.
Yep.
Yeah, Primal Fear's made it around. I mean, I've seen them live a few times now, and not just in Slayton. I've seen them around other places, and they are for real. I mean, they are for real.
Yeah.
In every
fight, no flight. And that's what we're 10 toes down. So let's go. And
excited for that.
This is going to be a fight. And this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a long slobber knocker, as they used to call it.
Yeah, good old JR. How about it? I love it. All right, so when's the next show for you guys? Like, what do you got coming up? You said in a couple weeks.
Immediate one is going to be March 2nd. Yep. We're going to be back at Williamsport, which is 5-Star Wrestling, which is a promotion that we've seen restart from the concretes through the flowers will grow, fought through all the adversity in the area to become what they are now, paired up with Lucha Libre Online and, just more big things coming out of that company. So it's, for us, what we consider a home ground. It's our home territory. We know Williamsport is back as we know Vegas. So at this point, we love it there. We love being there. Everything about the company is just everything you want to go to work for and something you're willing to fight for. As a matter of fact, which side? There we go. We're also their tag team champions there. Yep. So we are more than happy to fight for them.
They got gold all over them, these guys. All right. The Brothers Gray or something. If you haven't seen them, if you're in the Williamsport area, they are draped in gold. It's right there. I got a question here from my buddy in South Carolina. Christopher says, do you guys have a finishing move together as a tag team?
We do. Yeah. So we have a couple, but the big one for us is called the Brothers Bombardment. My brother Damian has the nastiest fireman's carry driver in the business.
Driver's vicious.
I got a size 13 boot that will recorrect any dental surgery you needed done. Add those two things together, man. Not one soul in Pennsylvania has ever kicked out.
I can attest to that, honestly. And this picture, you guys, and all you guys are watching, man, this is great. We have a big live audience right now. Awesome. So thank you for joining us. If you've been here for the first time, thank you for joining us. I do this each and every Sunday with my brother, the professor, and we interview independent talent. And the Brothers Gray, man, we've seen them in action. But this picture, my point I was trying to make was this picture of them right here doesn't do them justice. These are big dudes. Meet them in person. Okay, go see them wrestle in person, and approach them. I dare you, because you know what I mean. Daryl Morris is here. Says, you guys rock. Do you have any matches planned outside of Pennsylvania? That's a great question, Daryl. Thank you.
Actually, yeah. This year's kind of like we've dubbed it like our travel year, so to speak.
Yeah.
We actually just solidified 2 out-of-state bookings. One in Florida. We're going to be wrestling at a WWC in Kissimmee on April 13th. Yeah. And then we're doing a tour in Australia in May. So we're going international this year. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
Been talking to a couple promoters, have a friend of ours who we met up through 5-Star up here in June that's trying to get us in connection. And we're looking at like a 9-day, 2-weekend tour out there.
That is awesome. That is such great news to hear. That is cool, man. We've been on your bandwagon since I met you guys. So
you were at my debut. I wish you guys my debut match in the big
I wish you guys nothing but the best, man, because you guys are, despite your characters, you guys are great guys, and you work hard, and you continue to work hard. You continue to learn, and you have that mindset that a lot of guys don't. Always keep learning.
Yep.
And always pick as many brains. You mentioned James Ellsworth earlier. That was a great question, Daryl. Thank you. Keep those questions going. Here is a member of a tag team you guys might know. Donnie Bambino, one half of the Bad Fellas. The Big Don is here. He's like, well. Now this is a tag team I like.
Yes.
They keep these are 2 ships in the night, my brother, and when we collide,
that's gonna be fun.
Bad Fellas and the Brothers Gray. We gonna make some fireworks happen. We gonna light up that sky.
So it's funny that you mentioned that, because last night at 3WA, they are the current 3WA tag team champions. And I brought your name up, and they lit up like Christmas trees. And they were like, oh, we want we want the Brothers Gray.
Oh, really?
So that is the challenge I mentioned earlier. They don't care where or whose ring, but they want the Brothers Gray.
Oh, this is gonna be a fun year.
Time and place, boys. Time and place. We are all game for
Trust me. Wherever that is, I am front row ringside. I don't care what I have to do. I am front row ringside for that, because seriously, and I know the professor, if he was here, he'd be saying the same damn thing. Trudy, nice, love it. We will be there to see you in Florida. There you go.
Sweet. Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
Absolutely.
The Australia thing blows my mind, though. Like, man, that's awesome. The Australia thing, like, I never knew Australia was such a haven for wrestling. They just had elimination. They just had their first
chamber out there in Perth.
PLE out there, right? Elimination Chamber was out there. So I didn't know that, the Aussies were such huge fans of wrestling, and they are. They're crazy.
Like I said, we had one of them by the name of Goran. He came up and wrestled at 5-star. Actually wrestled Sam Adams back in June, and made connections, and then just kept in contact with him and started pitching around us coming down there. And of course, we're like, yes, of course I'd love to wrestle internationally. Right. How many wrestlers, indie or otherwise, can say they wrestled outside of the country?
Absolutely.
Or your state starts and then the country. So just having that opportunity presented to us, we were so humbled and appreciative, and we're going.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys talk about some of the competition locally, though, like for a minute. We talked about the brothers. You're the Brothers Gray. We talked about the Bad Fellas a second. Mm-hmm. Is there other teams out there that you have not worked with that you would like to work with, that you've come across?
Counter
Price would be a good one. They're another
trios out in PPW of Ricky Price, Nolan Pierce, and Mark Andrews Alexander. We fought him, and you know what? I owe that man a beer. Mark A. So, but man, they're so like you commented on our size. I like to, as much as I like going in there and throwing taters, wrestling other styles and getting in there with fast, agile guys, high flyers, hard hitters. Like that's what gets us up in the morning. And so getting able to get in there and all three of them are incredible athletes alone, getting them together. It's one of those teams you look at and you're like, oh, dude, we're gonna have fun. Like, bloody nose, black eye, I don't care. We're gonna have a good time tonight.
Like when your names are brought up to me, the first thing I say is, those guys are wrestlers. Like, and you picture in your head the size, but then when you meet you in person, you're big. Like, I'm 6 foot tall. Okay, you're big to me, and then on top of that, you guys get in the ring and you can move around as fast as those guys that you were just talking about.
Yes.
Like, that's a dangerous combination. Because Big Damian there, when he moves around 50 miles an hour and knocks somebody over, they feel it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's our tank right there.
That's
That's unbelievable.
Got that turbo on him.
So, do you guys have any influences that maybe when you were kids that nowadays, because you guys are like a power team, right? Like you guys are big dudes that push people around. Is there teams back in the day that you guys kind of looked up to and said, we could be that? You know what I'm saying?
The crazy portion about that is they're all not power teams.
Yeah, all the teams we loved watching growing up are like Motor City Machine Guns, which is the quickest, most technical tag team at its
They are.
Yeah, Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt.
Yeah, Jay Lethal and Consequences Creed. Not big guys.
But
which is why, even though we are bigger, we still like to try to move.
Yeah,
a little bit.
And get the grappling, because those teams you mentioned they can move around, they can fly around, but they can also do counter for counter stuff. They can do they can do more ground, and they can do more reversal stuff, things like that, where phenomenal stuff that innovative stuff that you might not have seen, or if you have seen it, they do it in a way where it's they make it their own or whatever. But I mean, with wrestling nowadays, there's different fandoms, you know what I'm saying? There's people that love certain things and then there's people that love all of it no matter what,
Oh yeah.
That's actually going back to the two things. One, going back to touch on the Florida. That's why we're so excited, because it's from a company from Puerto Rico. So it's a whole different style of wrestling. most of the communications had to go through Sam because a lot of it's in Spanish. Like, so for us, it's a whole different style.
Right.
So that's going to be very interesting.
And that's the best portion of being able to travel with wrestling is like each pocket of wrestling really gets into their niche style of wrestling. Case in point, where we're from, Las Vegas, it's lucha libre and the ability to move and strike. And then as you get to Minnesota, like those guys are all like amateur wrestlers. So
amateur wrestlers, right? Like collegiate style grapplers.
Up here in Pennsylvania, we come from a bar brawling crowd. So being able to stand down and be able to throw them, like that's what the crowd wants to see. We want to see you get in there and actually throw something
and fight.
Like I don't mind the Hurricane Rana, but after that Hurricane Rana, that better come to a slap or a punch. Like And so, like,
you're exactly right. I mean, yeah. I mean, they love it. You know, they react. We were there last night at a show, and they'd see a Hurricane, they go, whoa, and and they'd say this and that, and then somebody would just straight up punch somebody in the face. Yeah,
yeah. But like you correlate with that. You're like, yeah, I've seen that. I felt that. Like I know what that is. And so like that's our favorite thing about traveling is like you like, hey guys, like we're new to this area. Like, what is your guys' stick? And we tell that to people up here who their first time in Pennsylvania. They're like, oh, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this when I get that guy in the ring. And I'm like, homie.
Just hit me.
Just smoke him.
That's all you got to do.
Like,
hit somebody.
Love it.
Welcome to
you guys hit hard. I mean, I've watched you guys. You guys hit hard, too. All right. So, Christopher, I'm not going to – how did you guys become a tag team? Well, you are brothers. But did you start out as a tag team or did you individually start singles first and then become a tag team? I think that's what he means.
So it's an interesting question because we are biological brothers. I've known him since the day he was born. I was 16 months old. But we are actual brothers. But when we started training on the same day, day one started training together. Some things happened where my brother got a little separated due to work on the civilian side. You know, the civilian side's got to make fun stop. So I've had one more singles match than he's had with us.
Okay.
Then when he debuted, we've been a tag team ever since. I think we've done one singles match since.
I've had two, he's had one. So
not a fan of singles matches. I'd much rather tag team and take over the world with my brother.
Yeah, that was our goal doing this is like you grow up, you see, and it's going to sound ridiculous, but like we used to grow up and we like Bubba and Devon, man. We're sitting there and we're like, not knowing that they're not biological brothers. We're sitting there, we're like, dude, that's us, bro. Like, we got the black one and the white one, dude. Let's watch. Like, we're traveling the world and we're doing this. We're gonna do like, oh, my brother testify. Let's go. And so going
Big
up,
Daddy Dudley,
all the way through and through. Like everyone asks, like, oh, would you ever try to wrestle your brother? You're like, absolutely not. Nah. Like, why? I got thousands of potential wrestlers out there that are fantastic. I know he's great. I don't need him be great. We train together. I know he's great. We're golden.
Yeah. You know where the brother thing comes? And it's funny because I was just reading an article about how the Uso brothers are going to wrestle at Mania. And because of that, everybody starts talking about this again, right? Well, there's a reason why there's been 40 WrestleManias and only 3 of those matches. Okay? This is the third time that legit brothers are fighting. It was Owen Hart and Bret Hart. And it was the Hardy brothers against each other. And now it's going to be the Uso brothers against each other. Because as much as a fan of a brother tag team would love to see them tangle and see who's better than who, deep down inside, most wrestling fans would rather you guys stay together. It's like the Usos. You know what I'm saying? Like the Usos were like 9-time WWE tag team champions. They split up. They haven't done jack since. You know what I'm saying?
One
and so
attempt, I think.
Jay seems to be a little bit bigger of a star because they kind of pushed him a little bit more, and he was right up there with Roman or whatever. And a little bit though. But I mean, he's main event Jey Uso, and the fans love him, and they love to do this, and they love to do the yeet thing or whatever, blah, blah. But you know what? Like, it's not like he split up with his brother and he's world champion right now. And you know what I'm saying? There's no separation between the two. The sum of the parts is a lot better than splitting them up. And I see that with you guys. With you guys, sure, down the road somewhere, there's going to be a promoter or there's going to be I mean, even if you guys make it all the way, which I know is the end goal, if you start working on TV and you're working for Impact, or if you're working for AEW or somebody's going to come up to you and say, you know, it'd be really cool if you guys turned on each other.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you're under contract and you're getting paid, I'm sure maybe that might possibly happen or whatever. Mm-hmm. But in reality, though, from what I've seen so far from you guys, like, I would not be into that. Like, me as a fan, I'd be like, you know, yeah, okay, that's cool. I'm going to watch it because it's those guys. But at the same time, I'm going to be like, you know, don't you see how good they are together? Like, why would you want to screw with that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the fun and weird part about this business is, like, if the story makes sense, a lot can happen. But also, I can understand it as two brothers, all eyes in the wrestling world are keyed in on you for 10 to 30 minutes, however long the brothers' match is. The whole wrestling world is watching you and your blood brother go to work. And that's all anybody's talking about for that 20 minutes. So I can see it from that aspect, but if the story's not there, it makes no sense. That's why we do it. So,
right.
All right, man. Well, you know, so yeah, the Australia thing's got my mind blown, right? Because
yeah,
that's really cool for you guys. I mean, that is really cool. I mean, we you know, Keith and I have made some friends in the business, so you know, they were all excited because they get to wrestle in Canada, which to them it's international, right? They're in Canada and stuff like that. And there's been plenty of great wrestlers to come out of Australia. I just didn't know how hungry they were for wrestling in that country, as they are, you know, or if they have a similar situation here where there's a bunch of, you know, indie scene, you know,
at least in the conversations we've had, it's similar to ours. There's little, you know, pockets of indie. Like, we've only been talking to the ones in Sydney because that's where we're going to be.
Right.
So we've been talking to everyone in and around Sydney, and it's akin to ours. Different styles, different demographics. Like, you know, there's a hardcore show and the not so hardcore show. There's the backstage drama of, oh, you don't want to go work for them because insert reason why. So it's interesting how like and different that part of the backstage stuff, I guess you would say, is.
Right.
So that part's been interesting for me to figure out.
While you guys are on this journey though, like, you know, you've been up and down in Pennsylvania. You mentioned some other states that you've been in and stuff like that. Is there and you're going, you know, you're obviously, we just talked about Australia. Is there places on the bucket list, so to speak, that you want to wrestle before you're all said and done? You know, do you have a list? Is it a small list? Is it a big list?
We want to go back home.
Yep. We want to go wrestle in Vegas. We want to do that by the end of this year. Any promoter, any company, we want to wrestle back home in front of our high school friends and all that stuff. Because we noticed early, all the people starting out up here, they're from Scranton. They're from up here.
They're from the area,
seen them and stuff. Our friends have only seen it through social media afar, and our extended family for that matter. So it'd be really cool to have that first moment.
Right.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting. And then we agreed when we started this, the dream is to wrestle in Tokyo, anywhere in Tokyo, wrestle in Japan.
Yep.
So that's something we want to do before our boots are up, is somewhere in Japan. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
So Big Don is still here, and he says, you know, the big money in a tag team is the reunion. So at one point or another, a team will break apart. What do you guys think of that statement he's saying? Do you agree with that or disagree with that?
That's their view on the tag team. See, I got my view on it is, you know, being born in the 90s, my brother and I, the way we look, the way the world's treated us, we've had everything in this world try to tear us apart. Right. It's not going to be wrestling.
Yeah.
I think down the road, you never know the story, you never know the situation, but where we sit right now in our lives, I think us showing that, you know, two mixed brothers can stand in this world shoulder to shoulder and tell everybody we are brothers. And we stand up to that. We put our chest out. We let the world hit us with whatever they want to hit us with. But we're not backing down and we're not separating our line.
Well, here's my opinion on that, what Don is saying here. What I mentioned to you guys was that you have every intention to spread out across the world. You mentioned Japan. You mentioned Australia. You mentioned Vegas. There's going to be a promoter that might try to talk you into a match against each other. Mm-hmm. It's bound to happen. But my point is, I think that's a broad generalization. I don't think that has to happen. You know what I'm saying? He's saying the big money in a tag team is the reunion. Not necessarily. Not if the team itself puts asses in the seats. Why do you need to have that story? And like your brother said, he said if the story is there, okay, that's different. But if it's just a one-off or whatever, like what's the point?
Because that to your point is it's different if we're first time going to a promoter. We have, we're kind of generating a name, or even in the future where we have a name like South Philly's Finest, where if you're in the scene, you know who they are. And you just show up one day, it'd be like a promoter looking at Jimmy and Luca and being like, you guys are wrestling each other. It's like, why? Right. But if you have a whole story drawn out that is seen by thousands, it changes it. Yeah. And then there's also a difference, I'll say it, between a brothers tag team and another tag team.
That's true.
Philly, that's
very true.
It's different. You met this individual through training in the locker room or whatever. Like I said, I met him when I was 16 months old.
We can't separate.
Yeah. It makes family reunions real weird.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. There is a huge difference, and they don't want to admit that, but it's true. And actually, in the case of the Bad Fellas, those guys...
Speaking of that, one of the tag teams we became the closest with over our rookie year is the Vetrano brothers, because they were just like us. Debut matches happened around the same time, genuine biological brothers, and that's a connection that we can have with them, that when we're in the locker room and you have those long car rides where you're mad at each other for whatever reason, right? The Vetranos and us can talk about it, in my opinion, differently than another tag team, because you guys, other tag teams, get to go different ways. We live together. This isn't a set or a green screen. This is our living room. We live together. So it's different maneuvering the business in that aspect. And I believe on this podcast the first time, that was one of the things I wanted to do, was talk to brother tag teams and see how they've dealt with that. Because we've had our ups, our downs this first year, backstage and all that jazz, but you work through it.
Yep. And
it's been awesome. And now we understand different components of our own personality and ourselves to move forward. And it's our business. Like, it's moving in the same direction. It's awesome.
Well, I love it, man. And speaking of the Bad Fellas, that's a team that they are not brothers, and it's common knowledge that they're not brothers. They are two guys that got in the business together. They are two guys that have been training together. They are like brothers, but it's a different dynamic. It really is. Some of the longest tag teams of all time were really brothers, and then some of the greatest breakups of all time were not. Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
Yep.
There it is right there. I mean, look what happened there. And it has nothing to do with nothing except for, sometimes the fans love a good tag team that lasts as long as the Hardys have, or the Usos have.
Express, baby.
Yeah.
Or the brothers
worked with them, got to pick their brains and talk about that longevity. How do you guys stay together and still do this till this day?
Exactly. The Rock and Roll Express. So, I mean, like I said, there are exceptions to the rule, but there's a different dynamic, without offending anybody, when you are actual brothers and you live and you eat and you breathe this business together, and you face its pitfalls and you face its locker rooms together. It's not like in the back where, Don and his partner Nathan might pick, be talking to different people at the same, you know what I'm saying? And they might be getting different ideas and different things they want to do or whatever like that. For now, I can tell you this, because I have seen a lot of the Bad Fellas matches. They, at this moment, just want to put their stamp in this business, and they have started out fresh, and they just want to spread out. Like you guys have already spread out. They want to start doing that. But your name has come across their lips several times. So I'm dying to see that match. Yeah. I don't care where it is. I don't care who promotes it. I don't care if whatever. If I have to get in a car and drive 2 hours away, I'll go.
You want to see that match? Put it in the comments down here. Let's start tagging your promoters. Let them know.
Start tagging your promoters, man, because the bad fellas, they can make it happen. They're gonna make it happen. They want to make it happen.
Yep, I've seen them work. We've shared a locker room. They're good performers.
And they're, like I said, and they're getting there because they are, they're still fresh, they're still new, they're still learning, and you never stop learning. But I'm saying it's not like they've been in the business for 5 or 10 years. They're getting there, but the more I see them, the more confidence they get, the more sure of themselves they get, the more in the ring they get. Their work, just you can see the difference from like when I first saw them like a year ago versus now. Is night and day. They put the work in. That's my point.
Yeah,
like you guys, and that's why it's that's fun.
That'd be a fun good time.
It's gonna be a good one on that one.
Love it. So in the more near future, you said you had Williamsport. When's the next time you're in Slatington?
Slatington, I believe, is Saturday right after, and so in 2 Saturdays. March.
March 9th? Is it March 9th?
March 9th, March 10th.
Yeah, because you said March 2nd.
Saturday after the 2nd.
Okay.
And then after that, we're at another Smash Master show. It's cool to be back there and, doing some cool things. We beat Diamond City a couple weeks ago and, interested to see what, Uncle Masty has for us this month.
Yeah. And to double back on what we were talking about earlier in the podcast about there being so many different flavors of wrestling up here too.
Yeah.
So like 5 Star is a PG promotion. PPW is a pay-per-view promotion. Smash Master we just wrestled at the Voodoo Brewery.
Yeah.
At a packed house. We physically could not have another human being in there.
Right.
Like, and that's what you want to see as a performer. It's you're in the back and you're like, yo, is that the ground shaking? Are they shaking the ground with their cheering right now? Because I'm about to go out there and do a backflip, baby.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's cool to get to work in front of different crowds, different tastes, different size crowds too, because you got to work a little harder versus, what I'm saying? Like, based on the size crowd. What is the biggest crowd you guys have performed in front of?
4 or 5?
I think so. That's
400 or 500.
Right. That sounds about right. I'm not gonna lie. On shoot, I can't see without my glasses outside the ropes, so it just becomes a mass of people. So my stage fright went away real quick when I figured that out. I was like, oh, I can hear them. I can see like the front 2 rows, but after that, it's just sea of people. So I don't really know the numbers. I just go out there.
You can hear them though, man, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Whether it's booed or cheered.
Yes.
And we get the whole gamut, but yeah.
Or expletives.
Give some advice to those who are trying to generate heat for themselves. Like, how do you guys go about doing that? Because there's an art to that, and I think it's not learned or taught overnight. There's something that you have to feel out because you're not wrestling in the same place, each and every week or whatever. You go from one place to another, so it's different crowds. So if they've seen you before, that's one thing, but if they've never seen you before and you're the heels, how do you talk about that a little bit, because it's not an easy thing to do.
So I lean towards the status of, one, not every single crowd is going to react the same way. So if you do something here at place A, doing it at place B may or may not grant you the same response. So I look at it more as my heat to me, or what are things that piss me off. I've been in enough street fights that after somebody getting knocked in the face and that guy turns around and looks at the crowd and he's like, yeah, I'm going to keep beating the shit out of this guy. And everyone's like, well, see, now I don't like that guy. See, I thought this was a 50-50 fight, but now I really don't like that guy. So now I'm subconsciously fighting for the guy who's, picking himself back up after the fight, because you're like, even if who's right or who's wrong, the guy's kind of an ass. Like, I kind of don't want him to win anymore. So, like, taking personal experiences and things that I don't like and being like, cool, I'm going to do that because I know I don't like it, and I'm sure somebody else in that crowd is going to feel the same way. And that's the truth to it. I mean, you can break it down to the psychology of it, of like, cheat. Yeah, that's easy. Look at the crowd, comment on the lack of teeth. Easy. But that's cheap heat. That shit goes away in seconds. No one, That doesn't feel burned in. My personal favorite thing is we have our logo is our masks. You know, we come out in entrance masks.
Yeah.
And for kids, they're scary. They're fucking scary, dude. No one else has turned the corner looking like that.
Right.
And so I get right in the first kid who looks like he's about to cry. Cool. I want to see tears before I get in this ring. I know exactly how I'm going to start. That shit fuels me. You're like, your good guy back there, he's getting cheered on. Like, ooh, I need the power of the crowd. No, I need tears. Let me see how upset you are. Now we can get started. Because unless you're upset, man, like, what are we doing out here? We're here to invoke emotion out of people. As much as it sucks to be the bad guy, that's your fucking job.
Right.
I like it. It's fun.
I do too.
Just how my character works and how Damian Gray is and the things I do in the ring.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, you're vicious.
It's so much fun for me.
We get to do what we want, when we want, with who we want. I can take a break in the middle of the match and go sit down, go order a popcorn and a beer.
I've done it before. I've sat down and ate popcorn in the middle of a match.
Yeah, we do what we want. And
as a comment,
I'm sure everybody out there in your sport, I'm gonna do what I want. Period.
So through this podcast, I've been able to secure 2 jobs in 2 different promotions. One's called Susquehanna Wrestling Organization, SWO. The other one is 3WA in Quakertown. So twice a month, the wife lets me out, and I get to do what I love, and I just love it, right? But I do it for the love of the game. But anyway, in the ring announcing role, I am a face. I'm one of the fans. I'm with those guys. You know, I'm with you guys. I'm just announcing these guys to the ring, and we're on the journey together, and they love me down there. Okay. In 3WA, they hate my guts. I've gotten into the ring and interviewed wrestlers and been booed out of the building because I've said some things. Like I've said some things, and I've said some things that you just can't take back. But I really stealed from like Jerry the King Lawler and Jesse the Body Ventura because I say things like, you know, if morons could fly, Quakertown would be the airport. You know, things like that. Last night, I'll give you an example. During the main event, it was a 2 out of 3 falls match. So the babyface wins the first fall. And they're going nuts because they hate the heel. That the heel champion is JT Cage. He's the 3WA Extreme Champion. So he loses the first fall. So they're like losing their minds. Yay, he finally, you know, he lost. Great. Cage wins the second fall. There's crickets. I mean, some of them are booing, but I mean, there's literally crickets. So I stand up and I yell, "Take that, you morons!" There was like 20, 30 people all turn and look at me like, like, did he just really? So Professor's next to me. Professor on commentary goes, "Good luck getting out through the parking lot tonight, Big Al."
Yeah.
It was awesome. So I always root for the heel. I always root for the heels in movies and wrestling. I always root for the heels. When I'm at PPW and I see the Syndicate come out there, man, I'm rooting for the heels. I'm all behind the heels, right?
Yeah.
But
some wrestlers don't like the mixed emotions, but we love it because if
it's organic, it's genuine.
How the crowd reacts to us in Williamsport isn't how they react to us in Slatington or when we're up at Smashmaster. But we do the same things. I'm winning by any means necessary.
Yeah.
Have you like it? Cool. Most people don't. I don't care. I'm getting the 3. I'm getting my hand raised, and we get the dub. That's just what I do.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it because I couldn't see, like, I mean, and I've never been a wrestler, and I never will be a wrestler, but I could not picture myself panhandling to them, like trying to make them like me somehow, or coming up with a character where they like me or they love me. You know what I mean? I'd rather them hate my guts and want to kick my ass. And then I see wrestlers, especially the young kids starting off, and you know they go right to that. They gravitate to the heel. It's a lot easier to piss them off than it is for them to make you love you.
So there's a double-edged sword with it. It may be easier to get booed, but the hard part about it is your good guy, your face in this match, is only as good as the heel is bad. So if you get a lackluster heel, like why would I want him to win? This guy doesn't even look like he's able to beat him. Like at this point, I'm in a 50-50 draw. I couldn't care less who won.
Right.
You have to have a good bad guy to make that good guy look like the superhero he needs to be. Are the Avengers anything without Thanos? If they were out here stopping the guy out here robbing the bank who doesn't have superpowers, who can't run, it'd be a boring movie. You'd be like, all right, they got 55 this show. Sick.
That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy. Seriously. I love how you somehow you tied the Avengers into wrestling. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. As you can tell.
Yeah, wrestling to us it's an extension to art and film and anime. Mm-hmm. Like if you've watched an anime fight, you've seen wrestling. You understand the story portion of wrestling matches. You sit down and you watch it. Like you take the Avengers movie. Like the good guy's gonna look really, really strong, and then the bad guy's gonna suddenly get a secondary force to come in and wipe the event. And you're like, oh my god! Now what is the good guy gonna do to make the resolution of the movie? You know the good guy's not gonna like die at the end of the movie, but you still want to find out how he's gonna fight back.
Correct.
And we have 3 parts of the Avengers, so sometimes the bad guy is gonna win, but you still come back to the second movie because you're like, well, now I need to see him. Does he get his comeuppance now? Is he gonna get it later? Like, are they gonna team up together? Like,
can you guys name? Can you guys? You guys are younger than me, but can you guys name a movie where the bad guy wins?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, honestly, no.
Not at the full conclusion. If it's like they won at the end of part 1, but they lost in part 2, I'm like,
right.
Like fully won. Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
The only one I can think of off the top of my head is Silence of the Lambs because Hannibal Lecter gets away at the end.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I was like moving away towards like horror movies. I guess Halloween because he's still kicking.
Yeah.
Well, until Halloween ends, he got thrown in a wood chipper.
Right.
Big Paul's here, classic Johnny Potter, a.k.a. I come in at the right time, talks of the right bad guy.
Heck yeah.
That's what we're all. Bad boys for life. That's what we're here for.
The bad guys win in 300. Well, there you go.
There you go.
Thank you, Piranha.
Prince Piranha. I thought that almost said Prince of Persia. I was like,
no.
He felt some type of way about that one.
Have you ever crossed paths with Prince Piranha? He is an excellent wrestler.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we've seen him at 3 Legacies.
Yes, 3 Legacies.
I believe so.
He works a lot at 3 Legacies. He's an SWO staple, but he's been working in 3 Legacies. He's been moving around Pennsylvania as well.
Yeah, I believe
he might have made it up to Scranton.
I don't think we were booked that 3 Legacies show, but we were rolling around with South Philly, and I believe we ran into him. Good, cool dude.
He's awesome.
I like his work. I love his work.
Phenomenal athlete.
Yeah. That's stuff I can't do.
Incredible talent coming out of 3 Legacies too. Everything we see out of them is like, unfortunately, with the companies we work at now, it can't fit in our schedule. But every time we see them, we're just like, awesome.
They've been doing Friday shows though. Like they've been doing some Friday shows lately, trying to book more people because they find that if they run on a Saturday, everybody's running on a Saturday. So. You know what I'm saying? So when they run on a Saturday, their talent pool gets shrunk in half. Whereas if they run on a Friday, somebody's already booked on Saturday, they can come in on a Friday. So lately they've been switching to Fridays down in Lancaster.
Yeah.
From what I heard.
Opportunities open-handed. You know what I'm saying? Anything that comes to the door is welcome in.
Love it, guys. So the last thing I got for you guys is, I always ask this question because I asked you guys a year ago this same question, and things have changed, and you guys are, so much more confident in the ring from a year ago. You guys are making names for yourself now. You guys are stretching out. I love all this for you guys. I love that you're going to go to Australia. That's freaking phenomenal. That's awesome, and I can't wait to hear how that goes. But in the meantime, man, in your own opinions. And we'll go one then the other because maybe your answers are not the same. In your own opinions, where do you see the brothers Gray in 5 years?
You go first, Ken.
No, you first. You're the talker.
Neither one wants to say it. I have
pretty lofty goals for us. I'm going to be 100% honest with you, man. I'm a dreamer. I'm a shaker. I'm a mover. And when I see potential in something, I do everything we can to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
And we want to be in Japan. There is a portion of us that's like, as a wrestler's wrestler, that's what you should do. You should travel the world and make a name for yourself. So by the time the big guys call you up, you have 2 feet to stand on. And unfortunately, I didn't play D1. I played pro, but I didn't play D1. So we're not getting in this WWE
Next
talent draft pool
thing.
Right.
So, we have to do the wrestlers thing, which is, we'll see you in Mexico City. We'll see you in Tokyo. We'll see you in Budapest. We'll see you in London. We're going to see every one of the places of this world where true independent wrestling fans find the love for their craft. And I want all of them to know who the Brothers Gray are. Share a beer with us. Sit down, talk with us, man. We may be bad guys out there, but you're not on our contract list. You ain't got nothing to worry about.
Right.
Have a beer with us and chat. We're just this personable in real life as we are here on a podcast. And that's where I see my favorite portion of this is traveling the world, meeting all the incredible fans, the people, the wrestlers, backstage talent, all of the things that make wrestling what it is and what we enjoy. I want to see that in every corner of the globe before we get the call up. And that's not saying we'd say no to the call up if it came sooner, but I want to be, in WWE when you get to choose your start and it goes, were you a brawler or an MMA? Right. And, we want to be the indie darlings, man. When we get that report, I want there to be a Bleacher Report that goes, oh my gosh, the Brothers Gray finally signed. Or we're the Royal Rumble big pop, the WrestleMania entrance that changes the whole scape of the tag team division.
Right.
We want to establish ourselves in the world as I see it. And let everybody who loves wrestling know that we're a thing and we're here to be a force to be reckoned with. And then once you see us everywhere, you know what you're going to see and you know you're going to like it and you're going to have a good time seeing it.
Damian, how are you going to top that answer, brother?
Dang, I should have went first. I knew sending the talker out first was the wrong idea. Like my brother said, we want to travel. We want to go everywhere, see everything, do everything. Like I said, this year's a real big bucket list year for us.
Yeah.
We've got a couple ladder matches, war game, possibly down the road, and with the traveling, and there's even more traveling than the two I mentioned, but they're not solidified yet. Right. So that's just this year. And how much has changed for us since the last year we talked to you is immense. So just I can't wait to do this again next year with another yearly recap with the
I hope you're still talking to me, man, because I'm telling you, the way you guys are really, because the way you guys are going, I'm just going to be that guy that you talked to once.
No.
Never.
Twice.
We enjoy doing this podcast. We enjoy doing this show. We enjoy seeing you and the professor around at shows. But man,
and we're gonna keep doing that as much as we have air in our lungs, man. Because this is when we got into this thing. We were trying to find a direction. We were trying to figure out what to do, and I'm like, you know what? Everybody's talking about wrestling. There's 100 podcasts out there talking about wrestling. Unless you're famous or infamous, whichever you want to say, like if you're Jim Cornette or Kevin Nash, you're not going to be one of the top podcasts in the nation or the world. So what can we do that sets us aside from everybody else? And what we became is a platform for anybody that is in this business that wants to be, that has dreams, that can come on and tell their story. And with you guys, what started out as a dream, what started out as a story is now become a reality. You guys are on a path where I have no doubt, whether you make it to WrestleMania or not, I have no doubt that someday the Brothers Gray is going to be a household name as far as wrestling fans go. Because, when you end up in Japan, when you end up in England, you're already going to Australia, but when you end up in Mexico City, when you end up going to those other places, that's where you get on the radar. That's where you get into magazines and rankings and things like that and say, okay, we've heard it. We never heard of AJ Styles or Shinsuke Nakamura or, you know what I'm saying? Until they popped up in New Japan and wrestled each other, and then AJ became a big star on TNA or whatever. And now look at this guy. He's wrestling at WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He's the perfect story of that. He was an independent guy who wanted to make it to WWE, and he did it. And he did it. But look at the journey. He had a 20-year journey to get there. The guy's in his 40s now, but he had a 20-year journey. He went all over the world. He did exactly what you guys are doing. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of faith in you guys, because from where you were a year ago to where you are now, and then when we talk again next year, I hope, you'll have some more stories to tell. You'll have some road stories to tell. You'll have some international stuff to talk about. Like, I can't wait, man. And I love that I met you guys, and I love that I get to share this journey with you and keep an eye on and keep tabs with you guys, because I'm proud of you guys. I think you guys are awesome. I've been a fan of this business since I was 5 years old, so over 40 years. And so it's great to see this side of it. Great to see the passion. I mean, you guys love this business, so you can't possibly fail. And what is failure? To me, if you end up in a place where, they know your name and you get booked constantly, and if you never grace us with your presence on Raw or SmackDown, I think that eventually you'll be on TV somewhere, whether it be New Japan, Ring of Honor, AEW, TNA, whatever. I think that you will get there one day. But my point is, I think that no matter what you guys have your mindset to, you're going to accomplish it, because you just have that drive that not everybody has, and you can't teach it.
Yeah. Man, that's heartfelt words, Val. And man, we appreciate it. And there's something that you guys do. It's a portion of what we say about, like, there's everything about this wrestling community that makes what we do and what we all love a huge thing. And you guys are 100% a part of that, as much as us, the wrestlers, the ref, the booking, the stage manager. You guys doing what you guys do is indetrimental to what we can accomplish. Your invitation to us last year was our first podcast we got to do. So your guys you guys stretched the hand out first. So our hand's always willing to shake that hand, brother. And what you do to up and coming talent, to, guys like the Bad Fellas, you give us a platform to talk to the internet, and you share everything that you've been able to compile throughout your career. And you grace that for us for an hour 30, however long we're here with you. But your arms and your wings stretching out, man, helps the whole community grow together. So it's completely mutual love. And we appreciate you always having us on, man. It's a pleasure for us. It's now our yearly highlight. After this, we're gonna go to the bar. We're gonna go cheers, because another anniversary. We got all 10 digits still connected, and we're ready for another one, man.
Can't wait. And I speak for the professor when I say, like, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate what you just said. Your words. We never wanted to, be famous or to be known or whatever like that. But we have joined this community, especially in Pennsylvania, and we appreciate each and every person that's ever been on around the turnbuckle and made it what it is. We can't do it without all you guys. So we're going to keep this platform open for any and all who want to tell their story, any and all who want to. We love when not only do you tell your story, but in the midst of telling your story, if there's other wrestlers like Prince Piranha, like Donnie Bambino watching, they learn something while we have this conversation for an hour. And that's what it's all about, man. That's what we should be doing. I mean, I know, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. I get that. I get it. But I mean, there needs to be more people, willing to give that advice, to give that, and you guys have met them. You guys have met these veterans, the James Ellsworths of the world and things like that. You guys have met these guys that have done it. And so that, you get to pick that brain and say, look, what do we do good? What do we do bad? What should we be doing? And you guys, man, I can't wait to see what happens next with the Brothers Gray, man. It's going to be cool to watch.
It's crazy. And I say it to my brother or whoever is next to me whenever we drive home, and I'm like, what a life.
Yeah.
What a life. I get to drive everywhere and get reactions out of people. Sometimes there's money with it, and do something that me as a middle schooler watching TNA for the first time live would have never thought I was doing.
Yeah.
And every show on the way home.
Wrestling does that, man. Wrestling is so giving if you give back to it. And that's what I've been doing with this Around the Turnbuckle thing, is I'm giving back in my small way. I'm giving back to the art form that has entertained me since I was a child. This is my magnum opus as far as wrestling is concerned. And listen, ring announcing is an ultimate thrill. You're talking to a guy that used to stand in front of the mirror with a brush, pretending I'm Howard Finkel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's great. All right, guys. Next week we will be back here at our regular time, 6:00 p.m. live with Mr. Director, who is a new and upcoming star in the Pennsylvania area. So we get to talk to him and pick his brain and see where he's at in his career. We love getting him young like that, young and green, and I'm his first. We're his first podcast, just like you guys were.
Awesome.
There we go.
Awesome.
We love breaking them in. We love breaking the cherries, man. You know what I'm saying? So, we hope you guys tune in for that. Thank you, everybody who tuned in, commented, Donnie Bambino, Prince Piranha, all you guys that commented. Keep that stuff coming, man. Tune in to us each and every Sunday. You can find us on Around the Turnbuckle on the YouTube channel, Around the Turnbuckle. You can join the Around the Turnbuckle Facebook group where we talk about all wrestling, not just indie. We talk about WWE there. We talk about AEW sometimes. We talk about breaking news. You want to talk to us, join the Facebook group. It is wide open for each and anybody. I think we have about 1,000 followers between that and the page, the Around the Turnbuckle page and the group. Now we're up to about 1,000 and we're getting real close to 500 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So
there we go.
So my thanks to the Brothers Gray. You guys are phenomenal. You always are. I wish you, I speak for the professor when we say, wish you nothing but the best. We are going to keep tabs on you. We're going to see you hopefully in about a year and we'll get some more stories out of you. Is there anything that we did not talk about that you guys would like to talk about before we get out of here?
We got one thing, which is the easiest way for anybody out there to stay in tune with what we have. And this is something new from last year that we
from the Bronx. Sorry, Mr. Director's from the Bronx. I'm sorry.
From the Bronx.
He's from the Bronx.
So
I don't want to say yes. He's a New York guy. That's right. Sorry about that.
So everything the Brothers Gray is super easy to find right now. It's at thebrothersgray.com.
Mm-hmm.
We own the domain. We're there. You can email us for personal at salem@thebrothersgray.com or damien@thebrothersgray.com. It'll put you towards our highlights, our previous matches, our upcoming matches, and it's a hyperlink directly to our shop. So if you want to get yourself some Syndicate merchandise, some Brothers Gray merchandise, we have everything from phone cases to hats to
coffee mugs,
flags. We've got everything across the board. If you want to deck your whole house with the Brothers Gray, all good. We got hats coming in, So
nice.
That's the easiest place to find us. We're also on all social medias under our names, Salem Gray and Damian Gray.
Mm-hmm.
And reach out. We'll always answer back. We're pretty personable guys. Just hopefully you're not on the other end of that contract, and then things get a little spicy.
That things get heated.
Yeah.
All right, man. We're gonna get out of here. Don't go anywhere when I go off the air. For the Brothers Gray, I've been Big Al. This has been Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you guys next Sunday, man.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah. If you smile.